I don't know how I'm going to actually follow Pete, because, like, you know, I'm not an author, I'm not a podcaster, I'm just a businesswoman. So really what I'm going to speak about tonight is resilience in business, because I have been on one hell of a journey. So resilience for me in business is about, you know, getting back up when you've been knocked down. And by God, I've been knocked down so many times. You know, about, you know, waking up in the morning and actually, you know, thinking about your vision and thinking about, like, how the hell am I going to get there? And actually just going for it and doing it. So I'll tell you a wee bit about how I started. So, and I'm very nervous, so please be calm with me. So when I started, I basically am from Pomeroy, so I'm from the hills of Pomeroy. So a lot of people, they see this big leggy blonde, it's like, oh, she's going to be a posh, and then she opens her mouth, and it's like, Jesus, she is a culture. So I'm from the hills of Pomeroy. I'm one of 7 children, and you know, when you're one of 7 children, you're brought up with resilience, because, you know, you have to be resilient. You have to learn to, like, fight for your place, you know, fight for your place at the table, you know, learn to be heard. And from a very, very young age, you know, from a very, very country background, I kind of knew that I was a wee bit, let's just say, different. You know, I wasn't into the Gaelic football, you know, I wasn't into the things that, you know, the girls around me were into. I probably suffered from a lot of, you know, lack of confidence, because I was the fat child, you know. But you know what? As the years went on, I grew into myself, and I grew another 5 inches, probably helped as well. And I basically found my own and realised, you know, what it was that I liked. I loved singing, I loved acting. I couldn't dance to save my life, got 2 left feet, but my sisters were all very good at that. And I suppose what I really loved about the singing, and I sang in a band for like 6 years, was the whole, you know, thing behind it, you know, basically getting dressed up, standing in front of a crowd, which, you know, is easier singing for me than it is talking, and just basically putting on a show, and getting that buzz from the crowd. And obviously, you know, getting ready for the night out, getting dressed up. So that was something I always loved, and I always wanted to be an actress. Unfortunately, that did not happen. So, you know, I kind of lost my way in life, and I was like, what is it that I want to do? And I remember, you know, my mother saying to me at a very, very young age, Linda, what is it you want to do? And I was like, I want to be a superstar, I want to be an actress. Like, and she was like, but what if that doesn't happen? And I goes, well, then I'm going to build an empire. And she was like, right, well, that's grand. If you want to build an empire, that's 100%. She was always very supportive. So my father, he was self-employed. My mother, who is a massive influence in my life, basically she reared 7 children. She drove anything from 120 miles to 500 miles a day, you know, back and forth for her work. She worked her way up in a very male-dominated industry where they were all the hierarchy of the business. And worked until she was 55. She now works with me, and so does my father. So that for me was just like, I remember watching her and watching her go out to work and watching him go out to work. So I think that had a massive impact on me as a child, to realise that, you know, and that's kind of bringing me to, like, something I really want to talk about, because in this day and age, you know, there's so many people, and you hear quotes thrown out every road and direction, and all you hear is this: dream, believe, achieve. I'm a mother of 3 girls, and if they think they can just dream, believe and achieve and stand there with the crystals looking at the moon and think that it's going to happen, that is not the case. You know, for me, it's hard work, and like, what does hard work do? Hard work reaps rewards, and that was instilled in us from a very, very young age. You didn't lie down, you were up, you were out, and you were at it, and you had no choice. And obviously, being the second eldest as well, you had to help out with obviously all of the younger brothers and sisters. So resilience for me as well is being able to actually, you know, help others. You know, you have other people around you that, you know, will be struggling, you know, maybe don't have the confidence that you have, and it's actually teaching them resilience too. So I suppose, like, from a very young age, that's what's been sort of drilled into us. My other sisters actually own their own businesses as well, and they've all kind of done very, very well in their own right. And then the other thing for me is setting goals. Like, I never set goals. I was never that person until a woman that I actually work with in Benefit Cosmetics, because before I actually went into started my own business, I worked in the beauty industry for years, and a particular lady sat me down one day and she was doing like a review with me in my job, and she said to me, "Linda, have you ever set goals for yourself?" And I was like, "What? What are they?" And she was like, "Right, I want you to sit now and write down 5 goals for yourself." So it took me a wee while to think about it. And I said, right, okay, 5 goals for me is, I want to get married, I want to have children, I want to build a house, I want to start a business, and I want to be turning over millions. And I remember her just looking at me going, right, well, that's pretty doable. And basically that lady that sat down with me that day to write them goals has now actually become my new international sales manager. So she was sitting with me when I told her I was coming here. When I told her I was coming here, and I totally forgot about it, to be honest with you, because it's just one of them things you forget about in your past. And she was like, I was like, "Oh my God, I said this bloody speech, like, I'm not good at these things." And she was like, "Well, I'm going to tell you what, Linda, I remember sitting down with you." And she was like, "And look at them goals, you have smashed them." But I think the most important thing is when you actually set goals, and you do smash them, is to set yourself another set of goals, because you can become quite complacent, you can become quite lazy and think, well, you know, I've done all that there, sure, what's next? Like, I'll lay up here with my feet up, but, you know, that's not the case. So whenever we first started Bellamianta, and when I say we, is because I actually started with a business partner, one of probably the worst mistakes in my life, and a lesson learned. A very dear lesson learned, a very emotionally hurt lesson learned, but you know what? I have to let it be in the past, because I have to move on from it. Because you know what? Those lessons learnt have made me and built me into the character that I am today, and probably made me a much more successful businesswoman. Because what it's learnt me to do is actually set boundaries. And set boundaries because one of my biggest strengths is probably my biggest weakness. I'm very, very kind, I'm very open to, you know, everybody coming into my life, but it does sometimes emotionally take over me. So I've had to learn to set a lot of boundaries. So I think with resilience, you need to set boundaries. If you don't, and you are, you know, a very kind person, people will hurt you. So it's not about closing yourself off, it's just about being very, very careful about the people that you actually let in. So obviously that happened. That was in the past. We moved on, totally rebranded the brand, made it more into me and my vision. And I think that's one thing never ever to forget and never lose sight of, is your vision and what you want. So now the brand is like totally rebranded. We obviously then launched Iconic Bronze, and a lot of people say to me, "Why have you 2 tan brands?" And I was like, because I am great at spotting opportunity. So obviously Bellamianta is more of a premium brand. Iconic Bronze is more of a mass market brand. However, it does stand under the same ethos as Bellamianta. It's just made with cheaper alternative ingredients. So what I discovered was, okay, so $19.99 for a bottle of tan for somebody can be quite expensive. You know, working mothers, single mothers, you know, people on a budget, they don't have that money to spend. You know, I'm one of 7 children, and some of my sisters were students, and they were like, "I'm not spending £20 on a bloody bottle of tan and get one for a tanner down the road," do you know what I mean? So I was like, right, why don't I create a more cheaper alternative that does have them same ethoses. You know, it's going to be vegan, PETA approved, no alcohol, no GMOs, no sulfates, you know, really nourishing to the skin, but at a cheaper price. So that is basically where Iconic Bronze was born from. Obviously now it's stocked in Primark. It's Primark's best #1 selling tan in Ireland. It's stocked in Boots, it's stocked in salons and pharmacies nationwide. Because the person that is spending £5 on a tan, and basically are thinking to themselves, right, that is wearing off so bad, it's full of alcohol, it's drying up my skin. Will they spend £20? No, they won't, because they can't afford to, and you know, they might just be like, no, it's too much, but will they spend a tenner on it? Of course they will. They'll reach to that tenner to get something better. So that is the difference between Iconic Bronze and Bellamianta, just to let you all know. But you know, when we started in my office at home. So I basically had, my husband, had built himself an office and I took over it. And we completely read out the garage, and we basically stacked all of the boxes in the garage. I had just had a baby. I launched the business one day after having my second daughter. I don't know, I think I still might have been high from the gas and air, but that's what happened. And we are now, we now employ 22 people, and we are turning over £5 million between both businesses. So, you know, we've got there. So, a lot of people always ask me is, Linda, how the hell do you do it? You know, you're a mother of 3 children, you know, how do you balance work life and rearing 3 girls, 3 divas, should I say? One's a silent assassin, the other one's a rock star, and the other one's just like, I don't know, she thinks she's Emily in Paris at the moment. And I was like, must do is a great master, because, you know, with my mother, it was just like, stop yapping about it. Do you want it? If you want it, go and get it. You know, and with my girls, I kind of want to be that inspirational person that my mother was to me. You know, I don't want them to think that if they stare at the crystals and look at the moon that they're going to get everything they want. They have to learn that, you know, it takes hard work. You're going to get knocked down. You have to get yourself back up again. Okay, you can cry in the bed for 10, 5 minutes or a day, maybe a week, but you know, if you don't get back up, somebody else is going to slide in there, they're going to take over from you, and you're going to be left high and dry. So that again is kind of the resilience that I'm trying to teach my children. So another big thing for me is obviously social media. We're all mad about social media these days, and there's a lot of pressure on everyone. So it is a big tool for my business. We obviously, you know, we use it as, you know, a revenue stream. But for me personally, I am not massive on Instagram. I don't be on it every day. I don't feel the need to go on it every day from a personal point of view. The reason that being is because I actually run my own business. You know, yes, we have staff, but I'm in there every day. I am making decisions every day. And I think for a business owner, you have to be in your business. You have to be present. You cannot think that you're going to put somebody in a position and they're going to totally run your business for you. So a lot of people think when they look from the outside in, they're like, oh, look at the glamorous lifestyle. Look at, they don't see the hard work, you know, the sweat, the tears, the tantrums, you know, the dealing with the 22 staff, you know. But like, again, that's what you get in business. But there's also really, really rewarding days. Rewarding days where, you know, you launch a product, you know, you sign a new deal for, like, you know, say for a new collaboration, which might be coming. You also, you know, sign a new retailer. You know, those are the really, really rewarding days. And those are the days that make you want to get out of your bed and make the thing that you're doing worth doing. So I think for everyone that is in business, you know, it's very, very, very easy to get sidetracked and to get bogged down in the nitty gritty and, you know, the figures and everything else. But you just need to keep your vision really, 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 really clear, because once you lose sight of that there, you're gone. And then for me, with the whole social media thing, you know, yes, it's brilliant, but like, don't be pressured into it if that's not something that, you know, you naturally are. You know, you can't pretend to be funny. You're either funny or you're not. You can't pretend to be somebody you're not, because, you know, as I say, I have a big culture accent, and my mother spent a fortune on elocution lessons for us, and she said it was the worst money she ever spent in her life. But for me, likes on Instagram and likes on Facebook, from a personal point of view, is nothing, because at the end of the day, you can't take likes to a bank.